Hey guys, Big Jerm, Jeremy Koling here today to do an in the bag video. However, I don't do in the bag videos anymore. I do in the cart videos. So we're gonna start off by talking about which discs I throw and why I choose the cart, because it helps me bring more discs onto the course. We'll start off with the slowest discs. Obviously, that's the putters. And right now, I only have 5. I've got 3 of my main putters, and these are all Mic Pro AVRs or just KC AVRs. I like that plastic feel. I like the straightness that I get from the AVR. The plastic feel is really important to me. I like a plastic that if it gets a little nick in it from the cage or from the ground or whatever, that I can use my fingernail, smooth it out, and it's almost like there wasn't anything there in the first place. I bring 3 of these with me at all times. One, because I like to putt with a putt in my offhand, just because it's how I practice, but I also like the counterweight. So 2 that I bring with me when I go putt on the course, and 3 so that I get good practice when I'm warming up for my rounds. This is a disc that Nate Sexton has been talking about for years, and I finally put it in my bag, and I think it's got a place to stay for a long time. This is the R Pro Dart. The R Pro Dart's in my bag for really long straight shots. This thing can go pretty far. I can throw this thing over 400 feet without too much problem as long as there's low wind. Tailwind, this thing's getting up to 430. It's really in the bag for short, straight approach shots and long jump putts. This gets me a little bit more distance in my AVRs. It's a little bit faster, but it's a little bit glidier and straighter at those long distances. So it allows me to give 150-foot putts an opportunity with the dart in my hand. And the last one is a disc that came into my bag last year and is really special, and that is the Halo Arrow. This thing is so glidey, and it's a really special mold. Obviously, it's the very first ever triangle rim, or the beveled edge as you might know it. This thing, I think, is one of the best designed discs of all time. It's so true to the angle that you throw it on, whether that be a hyzer angle, anhyzer, flat. If you throw it in a low wind situation, this disc will stay on the angle of release all the way to the ground, regardless of the height. You can't say that about any other disc that's ever been made, I don't think. So those are my putters. It's a tough question to answer, really, because there's so many spots that mean different things to me for different reasons. The last 2 years, I've been privileged to go to Japan, and there's something about that country that just speaks to me. It's not any one particular place in Japan. It's just being in that country has been so special and meaningful to me, and has made me learn so much about myself and about the world. As far as just being in awe of my surroundings, I would say New Zealand, South Island, and the fjords of Norway stand out to me as the 2 most beautiful places in the world that I've seen. I carry 5 mids in my bag, and with these 5 discs, I feel like I can pretty much do any sort of approach shot. We have the Halo Mako 3. This is a great disc for flip-ups that fly straight, and shots I have to throw hard that turn over and hold a long turn. They're decent on semi-low ceilings because it's pretty fast, but I prefer a little bit more height with the Mako 3. This disc is great in the woods in North Carolina, and when we get into the more technical courses. Next is a disc that's been in my bag since I've had a bag. The very first amateur tournament I ever played was 2007, and with my merchandise bucks that I earned from the tournament, I bought a Star Rock. And this is actually a replica of the very first one I had. Same color, same stamp and everything. This one was just once owned by Matt Keats, the late Matt Keats, who won the 2009 Amateur World Championships. A buddy of mine from North Carolina. I bought this from his collection, and this just has been a great way for me to keep his memory alive, but also have a disc from the very first tournament I ever played. The Star Rock is, especially as straight as this one is, as beat up as this one is, it is the truest flying straight disc with the tiniest bit of overstability at the end. If I need to throw something dead straight up to 400 feet, the rock is such a good choice for that. It allows me to throw it as hard as I want, and it doesn't veer off that line. If I put a little ante on it, it's going to hold all the way to the ground too. Very reliable mid-range disc. Next up is a disc that went in my bag this year, and I don't know why it's taken so long, and this is the Champ Cayman. Ultra board flat, probably one of the best forehand overstable approach discs that you can throw. I really like it for shots that need to carry up to 300 feet, and maybe even up to 320 if I have a little bit of a down slope. But this disc is so great because I can throw this thing hard on ante and it will fight back to flat. Other discs, when I throw it hard ante, they might want to get to the ground too quick, or maybe they're too overstable and they fight back out to the right. This one just wants to land flat, and if I throw it flat, it wants to barely go right. It's so good for all arm speeds. If you don't have a ton of control over your forehand, check out the Cayman, because I think it's going to help you with your forehand approach accuracy. And last but certainly not least for my mid-range department, it's hard to call it a mid. It's really just an all-around utility approach disc, and that is the Star AviarX3. This is the most thrown disc in my bag. It always has been since I've been with Innova for the past 8 seasons. It is my signature mold, so obviously it means a lot to me in my heart. But when it gets to time to throwing the most important shot that you have in the round, which is that 270 and in approach shot, I don't care if it's an anhyzer, I don't care if it's a hyzer, I don't care if it's flat. This disc is an extension of me and my desire for the shot. Like if I think ante, slight ante, okay, AviarX3. If I think hyzer, soft hyzer that needs to land flat, it's no question. It's this disc every single time. I've got a slightly newer one in the bag if there's a little bit more wind, or if I needed to fight a little bit more to the right with my forehand approaches. The secret power of the AviarX3 and the Cayman, I think, is its forehand roller approach accuracy. I like going with a slower disc for forehand rollers, which is a shot I use quite a bit, because it doesn't veer off the line as much. The misses are less dramatic, and I can land it almost vertical. Let's say like land it about a 1 o'clock angle. It's going to slowly stand up, and it's going to slowly fade to the left at the end. The more cut I put on it, the more right it goes, but it will always stand up a little bit. If I throw like a Firebird or something a little bit faster in the woods, it might give me more distance, but the accuracy gets diminished by quite a bit. If you haven't thrown a Star AviarX3 yet, stop watching this video, go get one, and then we can resume later. There was a point probably in my 20s where if you asked me, what do you do? I would have said, I just disc golf. I like art, but I just disc golf. But now my interests have expanded into all sorts of different places. Having an iPad allows me to do a lot of art and draw a lot and stay active with my design mind, which is a really important part of my life and a big expression for me, a big outlet. Lately, one of my biggest hobbies has been board games. When there's time and there's availability, I love to bring out any one of my numerous board games I bring with me on the road. And it's just a great way to get my mind off of disc golf, honestly. After a round, sit down, set up the game, and then just hang out and talk with friends. So board gaming has been a big one for me in recent years. Maybe not while I'm on tour, but when I'm home, my 3D printer is running. I have been designing and printing like crazy the last 2 years. It is an amazing hobby. It is so fun. And it just allows me to take disc golf and design and 3D printing and put them together. And I create these 3D printed minis that I like to hand out and sell. And it's just one of the things that I like to do as well. Got 3 different Firebirds in my bag. I've got the April Fool's Nate Sexton Firebird, mostly because he's inspired me with his beautiful artwork. This is a mid-stable. This is the medium stability Firebird in my bag. This one allows me to throw it hard and hyzer, and it'll flatten out and it'll hyzer just a little bit. It's really great for shots up to 375 with the forehand. but also really good for short control shots, somewhere in the 250 range. Sometimes even shorter, honestly. It just depends on the shot shape and the ceiling that we've got. My standby has been my old 2015 Nate Sexton Firebird. This one's just beat into perfection. I can release this with a little hyzer flip, and it'll stand up and ride straight all the way to the ground with just the tiniest bit of fade at the end. This thing has been with me since 2017 as well. I've been throwing it the most over the last 2 seasons, but this thing is just my workhorse for any shot that's in that straight realm that has a little tiny wind present that needs to get over 310, and like I said, up to about 375. Sexton Firebird is just obviously legendary for good reason. And the last Firebird I have in my bag is a flat top glow Firebird, very overstable, very stiff. I love this one for thumbers. I love this one for cut forehands that need to go right. I love this thing for shots where I have to go into a massive headwind, or if I really need a lot of flex, if I need to put a lot of anhyzer on a shot and make sure it still goes right, or if I have to throw it flat and make sure it gets a big skip to the right. Obviously, these are forehand shots that I'm shaping up here. This is the disc I go with. This is a great utility disc. It gets me out of trouble. Hopefully I don't find myself in them, but I find myself in trouble often, so this disc gets pulled out for those situations. But you got to have a disc that you trust in a lot of wind, and also a disc that can carve out a big shape. Next, I have my trusty Champ Eagle, the old Paul Ulibarri one that was handed down, and this thing has been wonderful for me for shorter, slower shots in the woods specifically. I don't really throw this out in the open that much because it's really great for just shots that need to go in that 280 to 310 range that don't move much left to right. Usually if I have a low ceiling and I don't feel like I can get my AviarX3 there, then I'll go with something a little bit faster, but also still very controlled. That's when the Champ Eagle comes out. These next 2 are huge. There's always going to be at least one of these in my bag, if not both of them, and that is the Champion Roadrunner and the Star Sidewinder. These are obviously incredible roller discs, so out in the open shots, I've got a big roller option with either of these discs. For me right now, the Champion Roadrunner is a little bit more overstable, so it allows me to get the big distance before the disc wants to stand up and turn over on its top. But the Star Sidewinder is used mostly in the woods for long, late flip sidearms that need to get about 350 and still finish left. Last, but certainly not least, again, you know we got to have a stock of the Big Jerm Tour Series Thunderbirds. This one right here is this year's Color Glow, the Proto Glow Halo Thunderbird. This is a massive disc for headwind Thunderbird shots. I use this for shots that go 440, maybe 350 to 440 is basically where this thing works out the best. But this run is really overstable, and I really trust that if I throw this thing, even with a little bit of anhyzer, if there's wind present, this is going to be very consistent, and it's going to get me about that same distance every time I throw it. We'll go the next step down in stability, and this is a 2019 Thunderbird. Exactly what you think a Thunderbird should be, which is basically marrying a T-bird flight and destroyer distance. It's kind of what a Thunderbird is for so many people. What's so nice about this run in particular is that it's not quite a soft disc. It has a little bit of flexibility to it, but it's not also a super rigid disc. It's kind of nice in between. When these first came out, I remember calling them the Goldilocks run because it just gives you, everything's just right. It's just such a wonderful controlled distance driver. I oftentimes think I should throw a destroyer on this shot, and then I'm like, wait a second, I need control versus distance. I go with this disc, and then I end up getting the distance as well. So this is such a great disc because it's going to give you the control and the accuracy you're looking for. And pretty much all Thunderbirds are doing that, but it's nice when you find that right run. And speaking of right run, this is another really nice one. This is one notch less stable. This is a 2020 Tour Series Thunderbird, of course, and it is the same feel as the 2019, and this has just been in the bag longer, so it's just got a little bit more turn. Basically the same exact thing I said about the last one, just a little bit less stability, and it comes in play for big turnovers that just keep holding. And that's a shot that you need on tour. You need every single shape you can imagine, and so that's what we've got with the Fairway Drivers. the shot that I threw at the 2008 Amateur World Championships on the final hole at the Timber Ridge Resort in Kalamazoo, I was up 11 strokes. I was going to win, but there was this 820-foot downhill hole that was reachable if you got the perfect flight. And I just remember thinking to myself, keep it in bounds, Stufa. Don't throw it out of bounds. Like, don't limp your way in there. And I just threw a perfect forehand that this beautiful hyzer flipped, a long sweeping anhyzer that came back, and it stuck 27 feet from the pin, and I made the putt for eagle to win the World Championships by 12. And that moment when that disc hit the ground and the realization that everything that I had put into the sport was about to pay back in this incredible moment, and I was going to be the amateur world champion, the biggest smile I've ever had in my life. Moving into my professional career, there's a feeling that I got when I made the putt in the playoff with Paul McBeth at the 2015 Memorial that I've been playing sports my whole life, and I've been on some amazing teams, and I've accomplished some great things, but not once in my life, before or since, have I felt the feeling that I had that moment that putt went in. Actually, it wasn't in the playoff. It was in the very last hole to get to the playoff with McBeth. But that feeling was electricity in a way that I cannot describe. I'm talking, I could feel my fingernails to my eyelashes to my kneecap. Everything in my body was buzzing. And my hands went up in the most awkward celebration, and I just walked for about 20 feet with my hands up like a doofus. Because I had no idea what I was doing. I was just reacting to this energy that was just coursing through my body. And so that memory, I will never forget that. It almost gives me chills thinking about it now. That was a really, really, really special moment. And I would say if there's like a third moment that I think really stands out to me, it was after the final round of the 2016 USDGC was called due to weather, and I was announced the champion because I had a 4-shot lead going into that final round. The phone call itself was a really special moment that I shared with Jonathan Poole, and this moment of like, oh my gosh, you're now a major champion, was this incredible weight released off of my shoulders, and this moment was now official. But that wasn't the moment. The moment for me was at the clubhouse having this very intimate award ceremony in a dark lit room with just 30 other people in the media, and it was basically a one-on-one interview with Jonathan Poole. And that moment, that really sticks out to me when I think back to the moments in my career, because that was just such a unique set of circumstances. At that point, there hadn't been a final round canceled and a champion announced due to weather. So this was like, none of us really knew what was going on. And so like, it was kind of like this mixed emotion where I was like, can I accept this? Can I feel good about this? And then I think Jonathan and the staff at the USDGC did an incredible job of really making me feel like I wasn't an asterisk champion. I was a champion of this event. Unforgettable memory for me, for sure. First up is an oldie, but a goodie, a disc that has been out of my bag for the last couple of years because I'm a fool, and I have realized my foolishness and rectified that, and I have added the Star Wraith back to the bag. Of course, I'm sporting the big perm one. The Star Wraith was really one of the first distance drivers I ever fell in love with. It gave me so much control. It gave me distance accuracy. It gave me the best hand feel for a big speed disc. And this is 11 speed, and it is so controllable. This one is a little bit more overstable, but what I've really been loving it for is working a little bit less on getting the 375 as opposed to throwing the Firebird. You know, Firebird, I can get the 375, but I've got to throw it pretty hard. The Wraith gets there so easy, and it feels like a very similar line to the Firebird for me. So it's just a nice control driver. It's one of those things that's been a long time coming to get back in the bag. And I've always known that it was going to fight its way back in, and now it has as of summer 2024. The next disc is a Metal Flake slab. This has been in my bag for a few years. I almost exclusively throw this thing for forehand rollers. This is if I have a pretty decently wide fairway, and I need to get 450, I'm laying this thing down at this angle, and I'm just saying, see you later. And it's overstable, so it wants to stay up. It doesn't want to turn over too quick, which is what an understable disc will do. And it's not trying to go to the bottom flight plate because it's not too overstable. It's that perfect stability where if you throw it hard, direct, and get it on the ground pretty early, it's going to be fighting its way up to vertical, and it's going to stay on that line for a really long time. This is a disc that went in the bag last year, and that is the Greg Barsby Tour Series Halo Charger. I was initially a little reluctant to put this disc in the bag because it almost filled the same slot as the Halo Boss, and I'm going to throw the Halo Boss more times than not. But something about the Halo Charger spoke to me when I was throwing it. Sometimes I got about 5% more distance than I did with my Halo Bosses, which kind of annoyed me a little bit. But this thing moves. It's a 13 speed. It's got overstability. It's a little bit more overstable than your typical Star or Champion or other plastic chargers. So I would say if you are going to ever try out the Halo Charger, know that. It's a little bit more overstable. But it handles my arm speed so well. It handles the wind, and it just allows me to get tons of distance. And knowing that I've got the Halo Boss in the bag, this can sometimes be that disc that everyone needs to have. We don't want to talk about it, but we always need a disc that we can throw around water, and we don't have to be super sad if it goes in. Although, you're kind of going to be a little bit sad if it goes in the water. That's the Halo Charger for me. And if something bad happens, I've got my Halo Bosses that can back me up later, and we're going to be fine. But this disc is like that right amount of attachment to it that I trust it, but at the same time, I'm not overly attached to it where it's going to be a round ruiner if I throw it in the water. If you've watched anything on Jomos over the last couple of years, you've probably heard me talk your ear off about this disc, and it's for good reason. I don't even need to sell this disc because I think everyone else will. If you have an open bag and you're a powerful player, you're asking me for one of these because you know that I've got them. And I'm not going to give you any because I want them for myself. The Halo Boss is the disc that really somehow combined overstability and glide into a distance driver. You can throw it hard with Annie, and it's not going to cut roll. It's going to fight and just blister its way down the fairway at the ultra high speed, and it's going to fight back for you. So many times I throw this thing hard Annie, and people are like, oh, that doesn't look good. Nope, you're wrong. Flexes out perfect. Big distance, controllability, fights the wind. So often when discs fight the wind, they don't give you that distance because they're just crashing to the ground. Somehow this disc has magically found a way to get past those normal constraints of distance drivers and stability. I've got two of them in the bag right now from this particular run. This one's just slightly newer. This one's been in the bag for a while and is slightly beat up. And I've got this third one here with the Lionheart stamp that is a newer run, but it's slightly more overstable than these. It's a little bit more streamlined, not quite as domey. And I've just found that this thing can just fight any wind and yet still get that maximum distance. So that's why I've got three of them in the bag. Arguably the greatest disc ever designed, that is the Star Destroyer. I've got these two guys right here, which are twins, marbly Star DSs, two-line Avery Destroyers. This is the disc I like to brag about. Like, if you're somebody who knows what a good disc feels like, I'll reach in my bag and be like, hey, buddy, huh? And they're like, come on, dude, don't put that in my face. And I'm like, I got to. Check this out. And they're like, yeah, I get it. It's the best feeling disc ever. That's the Star Destroyer. It's the best distance driver for all purposes ever made. If you need controllability, if you need a good forehand disc, if you need something that can turn into a cut roller, like, you beat up your Destroyer to make it however you want. And this one is pretty much brand new. This one's slightly beat up, but the feel of them is so perfect that I could just trust it for shots that are going 550 plus. I know you're saying, Jeremy, you're not throwing 550 plus. Yes, I am. Just believe me. The Star Destroyer gives me that. It gives me control. It gives me distance. I love them. Now, when I'm playing in the woods, I need something that has a little bit less stability, so I'm going with these two. This one is just slightly more overstable than this guy, but basically gives me something that tracks the forehand just a little bit left before it fights right. And then we've got the Matty O, Corey Ellis, Jeremy Koling, bottom stamp SDS destroyer. This is just one of the coolest things ever. When my bag was stolen in 2021, Corey Ellis hit me up and sent me some goodies from his old bag. And this was one of his favorite destroyers. And it has been my favorite destroyer since it went in my bag all the way back in 2021. It's the disc that took the Wraith out of my bag, honestly, for a while, because it gave me that flip up that the Wraith provides, but with a little bit more distance. Can't say enough about this disc and the aura behind it, being that it was once thrown from Adio. And this disc has made a lot of money for a lot of players, is basically what I'm getting at. But those are the discs that are in my bag. But because I have the cart and I have the extra bag compartment back here, this swishes up a lot. I've got my mainstays that stay in my actual pound bag in the front part, and then I switch it up with which discs are necessary for that course's personality. So I might have some more overstable discs. I might have a more throwaway bag where I've got some discs that can go in water and I don't have to worry about it, worry about the repercussions. Maybe the course has a few more technical shots. Whatever I need to do, I've got about 6 or 7 disc capacity in this pocket here that allowed me to customize my bag for every tournament I play. Well, if you made it this far, I just want to say thank you so much for watching my In the Cart video today. It is a pleasure, it is an honor to be able to be here standing and talking to you guys about what I throw and why I throw it. The fact that you're interested in it means the world to me, and I want to thank Innova from my deepest part of my heart for their support in me and my career and my family and my dreams and my way of life for the last 8 years. They have meant everything to me, so thank you to Innova Champion Discs, the best disc golf company in the world, the innovators of the sport. Without them, obviously I'm not standing here today talking to you about what I do for a living. I also want to thank the best cart setup in the world. We've got the Pound Signature Big Jerm Octothorpe and the Bag Boy Quad Cart Pro. I want to thank all of you guys, again, the fans, the supporters of the channel. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the course.